Good afternoon. Now we are in our episode number 3. And this time, guys, we are going to talk about the family matters when in-laws speak a different language. It's a very interesting story just to see how, when the in-laws met, how different they were. First of all, when I met Alex's mom, especially, we always create stereotypes. Okay, so the English ladies with the cup of tea, with the very posh, the typical English lady, typical. But this is a stereotype. So when I met Alex's mom, she's lovely, but she is completely different. She's a more hippie person. So of course, when she opened the door and she was dressing like a more hippie, I was like, kind of first culture shock. I was like, what is this? Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the first thing. And so for me, I was shocked, really, to be honest with you. Nothing wrong how she was dressed, but it's because, again, you create expectations and stereotypes. And this is something that I have tried to avoid now with time, with age, and traveling around the world.
Yeah, I remember that. I had tried to prepare you. There was plenty of cups of tea, but Mum is very much into hippies and music and very not the traditional English lady.
Mhm.
I think we could probably say my family's about as traditionally untraditional as possible.
Yes.
We're definitely very alternative. So, and that in itself, I think, has created a little bit of tension for you in how you talk to your parents about me.
Yeah, to be honest, yes. I mean, again, being Colombian, sometimes we put different thing in, how to say that, more, how is say the stratus? When you look
Status.
at, the status really,
Yeah.
so we look, okay, I used to go out always with like people in finance, executives, marketing, so of course, Ale, before he was a journalist. After, when I met him, he was starting to become a teacher. So of course, when I told my parents, I want that you meet Ale, he's a teacher. So that was a shock for them. They're like, why are you going out with a teacher? It's a typical Colombian thing. I said, well, he's lovely and oh, nice. It's nice. For me, it's that he's a hardworking person, and that's the most important thing. It doesn't matter that if he's a teacher. Of course, Colombians were different. So it was kind of a shock for them. So, of course, when they traveled to the UK, to London, I was quite nervous. I think you can tell. Because, of course, for me, it was important they accept Alec. But, of course, I was nervous. It's the first time they're going to meet Alec. He's a teacher. He's not exactly the executive. So maybe you can speak to people. How are you? Nervous
Well, I want to dial it back just a little bit, a couple of months beforehand. So before I met Patty's parents, I had very clear understanding. Victor, my father-in-law, speaks good English. My mother-in-law, Gladys, she understands some English, but she doesn't speak any English.
Lucky for him.
Yeah. And Patty had traveled to see them in Miami. And I had to call Patty with some not so good news. And so when I phoned up and Gladys, my mother-in-law, answers the phone, I said, "Oh, hi, nice to speak to you. Is Patty there, please?" And I didn't speak any Spanish at this time. So I'm speaking to my future mother-in-law, who I've never met, in English. And I know that she doesn't understand any English. So she says, "Victor," calling my father-in-law. And then she says a word in English. She says, "Foreigner," which I was just like, okay. So that was like, okay, I've got to get ready. I'm going to meet the in-laws. So this was a couple of months later. And we were meeting in London, and I had just finished my second year at university in Manchester. And I just literally finished exams. So I jumped in my car and I drove from Manchester to London.
It's like 4 hours?
About 4 hours. And I drive into central London and I'm staying at a youth hostel because I'm living on a student budget. So I park up at the youth hostel and Paddy's told me that we're going to meet up at the hotel. We're going to go to the London Eye and then we're going to go and have tea. Now, tea in England has many different interpretations. But when she told me we're going to Cafe Rouge for tea, I'm thinking, okay, there's gonna be a couple of small cucumber sandwiches and a little slice of cake and a cup of tea. So when I got to London, before I went to meet Patty's parents, I dived into a burger house and I had 2 giant burgers and fries and a milkshake. So by the time I get to the hotel to meet up with Patty and her parents, I'm full. And I get to the reception and I call up and Patty comes down. And normally you see this energetic, happy, smiley, energetic lady. I was met by this very pale, quiet, very obviously nervous version of you. I still remember you had a white t-shirt and blue jeans on, and you were as white as your t-shirt. And I'm like, what's wrong? No, no, my parents are coming. And I'd only ever seen photos of my in-laws. And so in your mind, you create this picture of these people, you know, they're going to be this certain way. So I'm expecting these like really formal, cold, you know, kind of parents-in-law, very traditional. And instead I met this really lovely couple of people who were like hugging and smiling and come on, let's go. And so off we went walking. And Patty goes a little bit further ahead with her mum, and I'm walking a couple of steps behind with my future father-in-law, with Victor, and we're having a good chat in Spanish. And he's finding out, you know, he's doing his very quiet interview of me, finding out about, you know, my background in journalism and me being a teacher trainer and all that kind of thing. And we went on the London Eye, and as we got on the London Eye, we swapped. So Patty goes off with her dad for a debrief, and I'm with my mother-in-law, who again, I don't speak any Spanish.
And of course, before, because my mom and I were speaking about Alec, of course, because she wanted to know more.
Yeah, so I don't speak any Spanish. She doesn't speak any English. So I'm trying to be a tour guide, pointing out the Houses of Parliament and Whitehall and Downing Street and all this thing in English. And my mother-in-law, bless her, didn't understand a word of it. Yeah. And then we go for tea.
Famous tea. I choose Coffee Rouge, because my parents love that place. This is a nice food and everything. But of course, for us, tea at 6 in the afternoon is like the dinner, to be honest with you guys. So when we are right there, we are the menu, and okay, I want this. I mean, my parents asking like dinner time. And Alex said, no, I just want a cup of tea. My parents look at him like, maybe he doesn't know how to eat properly. He doesn't want that we look at him how he eats. Because he didn't want anything, just a cup of tea. I remember my dad especially. No, come on, you have to eat something. You're not eating it for that, so you are so slim. You have to eat something, remember?
Yeah. So anyway, I get my big cup of tea, Earl Grey, because it's afternoon and I'm British. And you guys get your food. And then my mother-in-law starts the 3rd degree. So
your real mother-in-law.
Yeah. So we sat there and she's talking in Spanish, Patty's translating, and I'm getting the interrogation. And after about 20 minutes or so, your father, again, I didn't understand what he said, but it was very much along the lines of, yeah, you know, leave him be.
Poor guy, let him breathe. I think he patted face at the moment, so let him enjoy his cup of tea.
Yeah. So you know, it's when you speak different languages, again, for me, I think when I first went to Colombia later that year to meet the whole family and, you know, to ask for your hand and everything, it was really important for me. My sister-in-law Gladys was such a great help because she helped me understand some of the language, some of the culture. And like, for example, before we got married, we had a night in your parents' house with like gifts. And
it's called entrega de regalos.
So all the family comes before the wedding,
and
friends. And so it's traditional to give like a serenade with mariachis or a band. But again, I didn't know any of the songs or anything. So
But before that, my sister helped Alec before he met him. I mean, no, he talked to him over the phone and said, look, this is traditional. You have to do this and this and this. Alec said, do whatever. I give you the money. You do whatever. But he didn't have a clue. And at that moment, I didn't have a clue that Alec was planning to do a serenade. Even he didn't know, because he doesn't know what it is. He didn't know what was that.
So my sister-in-law took over a lot of that support and help for me, even down to I wrote my speech for the wedding, even down to translating it phonetically so that I could actually just read it out loud, not understand what I was saying in Spanish, but at least I could read it out part of my speech in Spanish, so that all of Patty's family and friends could understand me. So again, that language, you know, and that understanding, I think again for our parents, when my parents traveled to Colombia for the wedding, that again was, you know, an opportunity for that language barrier to get in the way. But again, your parents were so welcoming and open, like to bringing my family in. But even so, again, those differences around some of the cultural norms, I think were really, you know, quite telling.
Yeah, I mean, even, you know, Alex's parents, of course, with English, they are very polite, but they are more like, how say, they are not into hugs or kiss or anything. And, you know, the Colombians forget it. Hello, kiss and so I think Alex's mom was a little bit like, oh, this is a shock for me because, you know, not because they are cold, but it's a different thing. I think your dad was a little bit better with that. But I think for the mom was a little of a shock. It's the same, you know, Colombia, we are very, very vain, the women, really. So Alex's mom is more relaxed. Of course, I took her with me to the hairdresser with my mom and my sister. And straight away, for children, we didn't ask, hey, what you want to do? We just, we told the hairdresser, okay, do this. And poor Julie was all over there doing the hair, the makeup, and she didn't know what to say. She was like, oh, it's too much. No, close your eye, do this. And she felt, at the moment, I felt normal. Now I felt, oh, actually, you know, we're kind of pushy too much. And she was a little bit, she felt out of place. Bless her because she accepted and everything. After she told me, to be honest, I wasn't feeling quite right. But anyway, at that moment it was done and she was with makeup and hair and nails. So yes, it was a shock for her.
Yeah, and again, I think, you know, the difference is because when your family came to England, they'd been to like major cities, and then coming in and you know, seeing different parts of England, particularly when we were students, you know, and things like that. I think again, you know, getting that appreciation of the different cultures and different parts of the country, moving away from those stereotypes.
Yeah, exactly. That helps them a lot.
And certainly for me in Colombia, again, how Colombia is presented in the media or in Hollywood movies, the difference between what you see on TV, like all the negative news about the drug gangs and the insecurity and the problems, and how it's presented in movies as, you know, Bogota and Colombia is a very cosmopolitan, very advanced country, very advanced city.
Yeah, I still remember when I went to study English in the UK with a friend, I remember the host family at breakfast time turned to him and said, look, this is a ball and this is a cat. And my friend was looking, he was a psychologist, the same as me. He looked at them, I know that. You? I mean, sometimes, again, the perspective, expectation of people or the actual, say that, I mean, how they use, I forgot the word.
Representation?
No, anyway. See, I mean, sometimes you have expectation, no expectation. Give me another word of expectations, please. Stereotypes.
Stereotypes.
Stereotypes. So they think we live in a jungle, we don't have manners, we don't have anything. And I suppose, I don't know if for you was a shock, but for us, I mean, at least in my family, of course, it's very important to have good manners. How you eat, how you communicate to each other, how you treat the others is very important. So I suppose that is another kind of a stereotype sometimes they have of Colombia. We don't have manners, or we just live in the jungle and we're Indians, and it's not like that.
Well, talking of stereotypes, there's a certain stereotype around British men and alcohol. Can you see where I'm going with this?
Yes, I remember.
So
my sister say, okay, we have seen Alec, well done, but how you know a man is with drinks. Depends how he handles the drinks, you can tell what kind of person he is.
So my sister-in-law very kindly organized a night out for us to go to a restaurant called Colombian Dreams, which was some traditional Colombian dancing and Colombian food. And there again, I arrived and everyone's talking in Spanish. And you know, what would you like to drink? I'm thinking, you know, I'll have.
Or just 4 of us, okay? Yeah. My sister, her husband, Alec and me.
And I'm thinking, oh, just I'll have a glass of wine or a bottle of beer. At that time, drinking beer in Colombia, again, culture shock. Drinking beer in Colombia wasn't as accepted as it is now. Now it's a huge chain of pubs and real ales, but back then it was little cans of very unpleasant beer. So it's like, no, we're going to have a bottle of tequila. And I'm
half bottle.
half
We
bottle of
we
tequila.
half
Half
bottle.
bottle. Okay, yeah. So a half bottle of tequila. Now, I'm not a great tequila drinker, I have to be honest. I prefer whiskey. But I was like, okay, fine. If it's tequila, it's tequila. So the waiter says, we don't sell half bottles. We only sell full bottles. But if you only drink half, I'll charge you half. Great. So the bottle of tequila arrives with the typical Sprite and lemon and salt and all that kind of thing. And we're knocking back some shots of tequila, and then we order some food.
But before the food arrived, we already drank half bottle.
No, the whole bottle.
Oh, sorry, the whole bottle. Okay, the whole bottle.
Your memory of that night is not very good, is it? I wonder why. So the meal arrives and another bottle of tequila arrives. So I'm pacing myself and I'm drinking and I'm eating, and Patty and her sister are slowly getting a little bit louder and a little more relaxed. If memory serves me correctly, there was a couple that had got engaged and were due to get married.
No. There was a couple there who were celebrating her wedding. So they went there to celebrate the actual wedding. And the funny thing is the couple were there, and then with my sister, remember?
Yeah.
We just stood up and took the guy, let's go dancing. And he was dancing with both of us. And the bride was looking at us like, these pair of women, what they're doing? Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So yeah, the drink was flowing, but it didn't end up with the result of seeing how I was performing with drinks, did it?
No. It was actually the other way around. Because with my sister, we said, okay, sorry, we need to go to the ladies' place. We went there. My sister was a little bit tipsy, remember? So I said, no, I take you there, don't worry. But when we came out, I don't know, it's like we changed personalities. I was completely out, tipsy, out of control, and my sister was better, yeah.
Yeah. So that night, I had to take Patty home, and in her parents' house. So bearing in mind, this is my first time there, trying to make a good impression, bringing their daughter home completely drunk, and then having to get Patty to brush her teeth, put on her pajamas, get her to bed. And then I pulled a chair up outside her bedroom and sat there because I was worried that because she was so tipsy, she might feel ill or something like that. So I sat there for a while until I realized that she was deeply asleep, and then I went off to bed.
So yes, I think actually Alec met us with drinks and not the other way around. But anyway, that was it, right?
So there you go. Stereotypes and how you think people are going to behave is not necessarily how they are going to behave. And again, going back to what we said in the previous episode, this isn't to say that one is right, one is wrong, one is good, one is bad. It's just about the understanding and respecting all the time each other and the different cultures.
Well, I remember when you say to respect. Before we got married, we went to the priest in England, of course, Father Peter, bless him. And we did the course that we have to do as a married couple. And he was great, and he gave us amazing tips and everything. But he told you, what did he tell you?
He said, well, you know, now that we spent, because it was about 5 weekends in a row, wasn't it? Yeah. He said, now that we spent so much time together, we can see the different personalities in you as a couple and how you fit together. He said, but Alec, he said, I've got to be honest with you. I said, really, Father Peter?
Me, of course.
Yeah. He said, in this relationship, he said, you're very calm. You've got a very calm temperament. He said, Patty's very fiery. He said, so there's going to be times when you're just going to have to take a deep breath and just be very, very patient and take a little step back and let her temper work its way out, and everything will be fine.
For that reason, everything is working because he is following Father Peter's advice.
So I follow Father Peter's advice, but one thing I have learned to say to my beautiful wife is I try not to say be patient.
That drives me nuts. When Alex said to me, you have to be patient, it's like, that word for me is like you are trying to put a knife in my neck anyway. So yeah, I try to be patient though.
But you've evolved.
improved. I have
You've
improved. I have
evolved over
improved my
over
patience.
23 years. You've improved.
The only time I'm not very patient is when we're moving because I want to put everything straight away, the painting, the everything. I want everything 100%. So that
Yeah.
has been a challenge lately.
It has. But we're here in our new flat and we're loving it.
Mhm.
And guys, this is the end of Family Matters, episode 3, when the in-laws speak a different language. So tell us what resonates with you from this discussion. What can you see in yourself? What can you see in your couple? What funny stories have you got to share about meeting your in-laws? Please drop us a comment and we'd love to hear. And tune in for episode 4.
I think that would be the last one anyway. So thank you guys for listening to us and hope to hear from you too.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.